Today's chalk art, Jack Skellington, King of Halloween Town, from The Nightmare Before Christmas, one of my all-time favorite Disney characters. Hey guys, Ray Pahar from Crafty Crafty, and today we're going to be making a skeleton glove. Some of you guys were asking for simple Halloween DIYs, so today we're going to be making this very simple glove out of hot glue. Since we're working with hot glue, make sure you guys are very careful throughout today's project, since hot glue can be hot enough to actually burn you. If you need the help or supervision from an adult, make sure you ask for it. Other than that, let's go ahead and get started with today's project. The items that you'll need for today's project include a hot glue gun and hot glue sticks, blue tape, a piece of paper, a small binder clip, and some wax paper. On your piece of paper, you want to take your hand and you want to draw a loose outline of your hand to act as the base for your skeleton hand. Once you've drawn your skeleton hand, you're going to make a little marker on the side of your hand where all your knuckles meet so that you can use that as a guide for your hand. Starting at your wrists, you want to draw some small bone pieces that you can use as your outline, and then from there you want to start creating the bones for your knuckles. To draw out a bone, what I usually do is make a half-size heart, bring it down, and then bring the other part of the heart on the other side of the bone. Don't worry too much about your drawings, just because this is going to be an outline for your hot glue. Continue to draw the bones throughout your hand. After drawing the bones for your hand, to draw the fingers, all I usually do is draw something that looks kind of like a carrot or a fingernail. If you want to create a wrist part for your hand, all you have to do is draw 2 extra bones sticking out of your wrist. To draw the pieces that are going to connect the glove to your hand, you're going to make little markers on the side of the middle part of your finger. You want to do this on the left side and on the right side. At the moment, it's going to look a little messy, but once you start applying your hot glue onto your skeleton hand, it's actually going to start looking like your hand. Next, take your piece of wax paper and tape it right on top of your skeleton hand. Using your hot glue gun, you're going to create the bones for your skeleton glove. On top of your wax paper, you're going to take your hot glue, and from the middle part of your hand, you're going to create the bones. To create the bones, I usually just do 2 little dots of hot glue and let it spread out naturally as it starts to cool down, and then create the middle part of the bone by just going back and forth. You want to make sure that the middle parts of your hand are actually a little thicker compared to the outside pieces, since they're going to hold your glove together. On the other end of the bone, you're going to create the 2 little dots to end the other side of the bone. Give that about a minute or 2 to cool down, and then create the other bones next to the first bone that you made. For your glove to connect together, you want the base pieces around the wrist to actually start to touch. When you're gluing them down, let them slightly overlap, so when they dry out, they spread out evenly. After you've laid out the hot glue for the base fingers of your hands, you're going to then move on to the pieces for your wrists. To create the wrists, you're just going to hot glue some squares loosely onto the base of your wrist. Remember, when you're laying out the hot glue for these pieces, you want to give them about a minute or 2 to dry so that they can mold out and start to take its shape. These pieces should be connecting to the base fingers of your hand so that your glove can actually become one piece. To create the bones branching out from your wrists, you're just going to create 2 bigger versions of the fingers that you made earlier. After you've created the base pieces for your wrists, continue to create the other pieces for the fingers of your glove. Remember that these pieces are going to be slightly thinner compared to the other bones that you created earlier. You still want to make sure that each finger is connected to the base so that your fingers on your gloves are actually one giant piece. After you've laid out the rest of your fingers for your skeleton glove, you can create the fingernails, which are an optional part of this project. To draw the tips of your finger, all you have to do is create a big mound of hot glue and then make a smaller pointier piece sticking out. Remember, when you're creating your fingers, you want to make sure that the entire finger piece is only connected to that finger and not to any of the pieces onto the side. Once the bones on your skeleton hand have cooled down, you're going to create the connecting pieces that are going to wrap around your finger. This is going to get a little tricky depending on how you actually laid out your hand, but you're going to create alternating pieces for the fingers just so that you have enough space for it to reach and create your piece. To create your piece right above your knuckle, you're just going to take your hot glue gun and you're going to make a long strip of hot glue branching out from your finger. Create another ribbon of hot glue branching out from the other side of that finger and continue to do this for your other fingers. Depending on the layout of your hand, you're going to notice you're not going to have enough space for some of your fingers to create the ring. For the fingers that don't have enough space, you're going to create the rings for those pieces after the other pieces have dried off. You want to create a piece that's long enough to wrap around your entire finger and a little more so that they can actually connect. You're also going to create a long piece that's going to be able to wrap around your wrist. Before you peel your skeleton hand, you're going to use your hot glue gun to fill in any of the small gaps so that you can ensure that your skeleton hand is one giant piece. Use this time to also remove any of the loose pieces of hot glue that might have strung around after you've made your skeleton hand. For the next part of the project, you're going to peel off the fingers of your skeleton hand. Depending on your wax paper, it's actually going to be a little tricky to actually remove it completely off of the glove. Good thing about this is that if you leave a little bit on the back, it will actually strengthen your glove. Just make sure that all the pieces on the side are removed so that they can't be seen when they're put together. After you've removed your hot glue hand from your wax paper, you're going to create the rings for the remaining fingers that don't have the connection pieces. You're going to just spread out the fingers and then attach your hot glue to the pieces that need the connections. You can also use this time to add some extra hot glue to some pieces that might need to be extended. Once you've created all the connection pieces for each finger, you're going to create the ring so that it can actually fit onto your hand. Take your skeleton hand and place it over the hand that you plan to wear it on, and then take the ring pieces and wrap it around each finger. You want to make sure that it's loose enough so that you're able to slip it on and off when you're wearing your glove. Take your hot glue gun and then just glue your pieces together so that they create a ring. Be very careful when you're doing this. After you've glued all the rings for your fingers, you're going to attach your paper clip onto the end of one of the strings for your wrists, and then use it so that you can easily clip on one piece to the other. To wear your skeleton hand, all you have to do is slip your fingers into the rings and then wrap the hot glue around your wrists, use your binder clip to attach it, and then you have your skeleton hand. Once you've put together the rings and the wrist piece for this glove, you're done with this project. As an optional step, you can actually paint it with some acrylic paint to give it a darker, grittier look. But personally for me, I actually like to keep it as it is, just so that it actually looks like a skeleton hand. If you guys are interested in more skeleton Halloween projects, make sure you check out my skeleton paper mache hand and my skull candied apples that I made last year. Other than that, I'll see you guys next time. Take care and stay crafty.